Hi, this is Mike Smalley with Elderly Instruments. Today we're going to continue our tour of the Martin Guitar Factory in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Enjoy!
So this is the phrasing process, essentially routing around the edge of the body in order to accept binding. This is a pretty simple one with one piece of binding, but it could have several pieces of binding going in there at the same time. This is a really tricky thing to do, moving around that body carefully and making sure that it's nice and even.
Is that like a ukulele, a 45 style ukulele or something?
No. Which model is that? Is that a 5K? It's a 5K.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're also now doing some of this process on this machine. It's able to measure the body. These bodies, even though we carefully built them, we put them in those forms over there, the casting, they're not perfect. It's really difficult to get measurements all the way around here. So this machine has the ability to get all those measurements and then accurately cut where it needs to go. At this point, it's actually slower than the hand process, but it's really accurate. So there's little rework when it comes down to the next point we're going to see. So the binding process, herringbone guitar, those pieces have been inlaid, and now she's inlaying the antique white Bolteron. But you can see here on the bench there's also some maple, so depending on model. Now we're prepping the body for the neck going in, so there's some delicate touches here to the neck joint area. And he's going to do a dry fit just to make sure everything's fitting in properly. You can see that the heel is oversized, still oversized at this point. That's next step is he'll cut that off and apply a heel cap and then send these two pieces on to more sanding and finishing. Now we're getting the fingerboards ready for the frets. So this fingerboard prep going on here. A little dab of glue, insert a fret, and then they're going to go into presses to seat the frets properly on both sides. Once the frets have been pressed and dried, they're going to come into this piece here and get the edges beveled. This does a really nice, clean job of beveling the edges of the frets. This is John. He's been sanding bodies for about a week or two, right? Good?
Just over 20 years.
20 years of sanding bodies. So yeah, there's some great air filtration here. You know, John doesn't have a mask on. He's going to sand the body on this stanchion that gives him full mobility to any direction that he needs. So he can sand the sides. When he does the sound hole, he'll spin it around, and then he can release the suction, put it on the top, and change over to sanding the back as well. Sanding of the necks, get them in shape for finishing, going around and just managing all the details, but especially the volute on the back of the neck is a really important piece. Used to be functional, right? Used to be where the neck and headstock actually went together. Now it's a nice historical detail, but you can only do so much on the CNC machines to get these necks started. This is where the neck really starts to look like it's getting complete. So we're full blown into the finishing process. Guitars everywhere in different stages. You'll still see some of the finish sinking into the grain a little bit. So we're going to keep building that up, and that's part of the process is that they get sprayed, they come back out, they get sanded, and then they go through that process again and again and again until they're done. So along the tour, this is an area where you'll see probably the most guitars, and it's probably the area that takes the longest to complete. So it's a couple of weeks through the entire process for a fully lacquered guitar.
The curing process for the lacquer doesn't use UV or anything like that. It's just time.
It's just time. So some of that's out here. It'll just ambient dry. Some of that is in these rooms here, because the lacquer, any finishing is going to have some smell. So prior to having these rooms here, you could really tell what was going on. These rooms help to filter that and keep it clean, keep it a little healthier and safer for everybody.
What percentage of guitars do you think come through the automated buffing process? Do all of them get a touch from this?
For the most part, I think they're all getting a touch from this.
And
Full
finished up,
gloss.
Yep, finished up by hand.
Instruments, yeah, finished up by hand. The other thing is the sensitivity of using nitrocellulose is you can burn through it pretty easily. You want the beauty of nitrocellulose is that you can move it around, but you can burn through it easily. So these are programmed to sense pressure and also know what body it's working on. So you'll see that wheel moving back and forth, and then a little polishing compound coming down from the top, just held on there by a couple of suction cups, which is a little, but it works, and it's really helped to expedite efficiency of this process. You need a lot of people to be buffing by hand.
Finishing, you can't. There's no margin of error on it. You could, if there's an error in the finishing, you can see it. Gloss finish will not allow any lies.
So even though we're utilizing the robots, there's still a lot of hand buffing that goes along with this, all the way up until the final inspection process that we'll see later. So this part of the finishing process, we've kind of gone around it, and a lot of it's in the center of the factory. So these guitars are going into a robot room. They're getting sprayed a little bit. And the reason that they're on those little stanchions is so that the robot can spray the entire body easily. Same thing with necks. We'll see necks on these little hooks that go in, and that's just to support the neck while it's getting sprayed. Little inlay going on these. So previously in the binding area or the rosetting area, they had put a filler strip in here.
Okay, so the pearl inlays are done at the
end, yeah. So there'll be a little package that's 45 style that are slightly formed. They're going to kind of meet the body, and they'll lay them out over the body and make sure they'll fit and match, and then he'll come back in and start to glue them. And in that process, sometimes there's a little bit of breaking. You might have to break the pearl a little bit.